Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Good morning. Welcome to the Sunday Morning Big Sports Show. I am B. Strilla. I'm filling in for Sonia Pearson, who's on vacation. Shout out to Sonia out there. Have a good vacation on this Memorial Day weekend. With me is our esteemed panel. Right there is Jack Hirsch. Does our gloved fist on this network. On the bottom here, we got, of course, James Martin. He's always on this network doing many shows, giving his facts and opinions. And then Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk. How y'all gentlemen doing this morning?
Wonderful. We have a great Sunday in the rain.
Awesome. Everybody gonna enjoy their, well, I know two guys on here. I don't really have to ask that question too, because it's Memorial Day and it's Monday, and it's like, James, how's your Memorial Day gonna go? You're at home, right? You're gonna be off, right?
I'm actually off the whole week, man. I'm gonna just relax. I just took time off, man. I really needed it.
Good, awesome. All right. So, gentlemen, the NBA playoffs. Then we're going to start with OKC and Minnesota. So I'm not the one with the proverbial, the sky is falling because somebody got blew out. This has happened like 4 or 5 times in this playoffs. And a lot of times OKC's been the one doing it. What was your views on the game lack of the game last night? We'll go with you first there, Jack.
It's not much to analyze. It was basically a throwaway game. OKC actually didn't get off to a bad start, but before the first period was over, you knew it was going to be the Timberwolves' night. They took off. They limited the minutes, both teams, because the coaches realized they're playing every other day, and even though you have the day's rest in between, why milk it out to that point? And Minnesota actually had to win the game, but the way they won it, I think, was extra important to them, as opposed to them winning a close, tightly contested game, because they kind of made a statement blowing OKC out. And their mindset is, we're better than these guys. We should beat them. We're going to beat them game 4. And if they do win game 4, they're guaranteed of coming back to Minnesota for game 6, no matter what happens in game 5, meaning they're absolutely in the series. It's a series again. It seemed inevitable when OKC was up 2-0, considering the regular season they had. But it's a series now.
Would you say they protected home court advantage if they win?
Well, I think it's more important for the Knicks to win the next 2 games so they can regain home court advantage. We see how much that's helping them.
Right. I get it. You know what? And as always, well, not always, because Friday I agreed with Jack on almost every topic we talked about, but I disagree with Jack a little bit about the size of the victory. I don't think it matters. I think if I'm going to lose a game, I'd rather lose a game like this than lose like the Knicks lost the other night on a ball that bounces 60 feet in the air and comes down through the net. I know that only tied the game, but still, they lost the game because
it matters more to Minnesota, Keith. That's what I mean. Maybe to OKC.
That's a good point.
If we got blown out, that's fine. It's a throwaway game. Yeah. But to Minnesota, it had to be a tremendous confidence boost, not just winning, but the way they won.
And for Anthony Edwards, I mean, here's a guy who really needs to step up in the playoffs, I think, to secure his place as one of the top players in the game. And he's starting to do, I just feel like he's starting to come into his own. He throws a stinker in there now and again, but even SGA had a stinker last night. So everybody's going to have one. I think it's important for Minnesota and Edwards to get going. Randall had a nice game. He had a typical, that's what you're going to get out of Julius Randle. That's his style of game. And I think they did a smart thing, OKC and Minnesota. Minnesota was allowed to do it because OKC did it, limit the minutes, and don't burn out those guys in a hopeless effort to come back in this game.
Last night's win was a matter of potential. It was a matter of how good Minnesota could actually be. They shut them down. They clamped down on OKC with defense. You saw the two-way play of greatness of Anthony Edwards. But that's not what you're getting from them consistently. I mean, and I can see, I don't want to hear this comparison to Michael Jordan. You seeing things here. The talent is there. It is there. But the effort and mentality he's not giving. Michael Jordan would give you that every night. He'd shoot a terrible percentage. But I don't want to compare him to Michael Jordan. People are trying to. Let's not do that.
Who's trying to James? Who's trying to Michael Jordan?
I'm not saying anybody on this panel, but the media, everybody has put him in the. The
media's not comparing him to Michael Jordan. Maybe you saw someone post something.
No.
Jack, we did have somebody on here. My co-host on my other show, Nate the Great, was the one that made that comparison.
No, not just. We're not talking about Nate.
Anyone could throw anything out there.
I mean,
I'm saying it's been put out there. Like Stephen A. Smith has even made some comparisons himself. So you can go look it up. I'm just saying there's comparisons, but you can't call him that yet because he's not consistent. He put together a great game last night, but I'm not worried as far in regards to OKC. I know they shut down SGA. What was he, 4-13, and he really had like Keith said, had an abysmal night. But he's gonna bounce back. He's going to bounce back, and that team's going to bounce back. And I think they're going to win the next game on Monday night. I just think that Minnesota had a really good game last night. They shut them down. I mean, and they shut SGA down with 4 minutes left in the third. So, I mean, it was like, 38 points when he stopped playing. So I just really think that Minnesota is not – they're not consistent. They're not consistent. And if you don't really get – go ahead. You can go ahead.
No. So do you think that, and I'm going to go back to you, James, do you think that this blowout that Minnesota gave to OKC kind of woke them up and said, hey, this is not going to be the easy series that we think it is because we won 2 games. I don't know if they necessarily think it's going to be an easy series, but I think, as we keep pointing out for OKC, they're a young team. Although they've been through the playoffs last year, I still consider that kind of gaining your veterancy doing that. Do they come back on Monday with that swagger like, hey, you know what? That's an anomaly. That's not happening again. You're not blowing us out like that no more. Is that what they're going to come back with? The mindset is going to be, do you believe?
I think it'll be a closer contested game. I don't think it'll be a blowout like this on either side. I think both teams realize this is where it is right now. One team needs to tie the series. The other team needs to put their foot on their throat. I think with one in OKC is definitely going to assert their dominance. But not their dominance. They're going to assert what they were doing in the first 2 games and what they've been doing all series, and just show that they're competitive and they're trying to get to the final. And I think Minnesota is just not quite there. Again, the consistency is not there. I'll say this again. I like Anthony Edwards as a talent. I just don't. And he even said it out of his own mouth. He doesn't want to be considered the face of the league when people were trying to put him there. That's not. You'd never hear Michael Jordan say that. I just wouldn't hear that at all. And I think like, why? I mean, I get it. We're in a whole different era. every person that's at the top, probably like LeBron James or something like that, they get, they're in the social media age. You get scrutinized for everything, but it is what it is. What comes with the territory, my man. You get paid way more dollars than a lot of these players do. And I mean, back in the past. And so just take it and go with it. But I just don't see him as consistent right now.
So Anthony, wait. Anthony Edwards went from being compared to Michael Jordan to now being humble. He's the same guy who put down players who played in the 80s, and Magic Johnson had to speak up and say Anthony Edwards shouldn't say anything until he's won something. Okay, that was his, reply to Anthony Edwards. So I don't want to hear modest, humble. He might be a good guy. He might be a good person. I know he has this paternity suit, but it doesn't necessarily represent him as a person negatively, how he really is. And he's tried to step up and be a leader on that team. He doesn't seem to denigrate teammates. I'll give him credit for that. But you get the feeling the difference between OKC and Minnesota is this, and I don't know whether you guys all agree with it. If I ask you, do you think OKC is going to, if they don't win this series, that they're going to go to the finals in the next couple of years, even if they lose this year? I get the feeling you guys would say, more likely say yes than no. But if I say that about Minnesota, if they don't get there this year with the parity in the West, it's not like their window is closing, but when are they ever going to get to the finals? I mean, if they don't do it this year.
Quite possible. This is, again, only down 2-1, but this is a must-win game for them on Monday night, right? They say series don't start till the home team loses a game, but they can't afford to lose this game at home. They just can't. They go back down 3-1. This series is over for sure. Mm-hmm. And their window may be closing, Jack. You're right. Because they do have some key guys that are older, and I'm like Randall, right? Randall's not going to play at this level for much longer. Their window, at least with this group, is probably not as wide open as OKC. They're younger, as a rule. I think they'll have a bigger opportunity to come back, or better opportunity to come back than Minnesota.
I think we're focusing a little. Rudy Gobert, that's what I was about to say, James. I'm glad you brought up his name. I mean, you keep focusing on Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is going to play well the rest of the series. Whether he plays great, how great or not, I don't know. But he'll play well. It's Rudy Gobert. That was one of the most historic trade in NBA history. And he's got to be, at the very least, very good, at the very least, bare minimum. And he's erratic. You don't know which Rudy Gobert is going to show up. He virtually never dominates. And, and he's giving you a good version of Ben Simmons. That's all he's doing.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I don't feel like I've seen a ton of Rudy Gobert play until this series. I don't know why. I've never seemed to catch him play. But what I was struck at is I don't see him as a very athletic guy. I thought he was. And he looks like Mitchell Robinson out there sometimes on offense. Unless he's standing under the basket with the ball and nobody around him, he's fine. But going to the basket, he looks like Mitchell Robinson. It's kind of ugly.
I mean, he's always been noted as being more of a defensive player. He's won like 3 defensive player of the years or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard not to do it. Being 7'4" or 7, what is he, 7'6" or something like that. Either way,
he's big.
Yeah, he's more of a defensive player. But as you're getting up in age, I hadn't seen no progression where you change some of your game to add to your game as an offensive player. I've never really seen that, and so he doesn't really add much value besides being a big guy in the middle, and every now and then getting a lob like you saw some last night. I mean, well, it was last night. Excuse me. You saw some last night, but he's not really, and then he may slow up the game. If you're playing against a fast-paced team, you got to take him out of the game and put somebody else in. So I agree with Jack. I mean, that's just like the historic trade where you gave all 4 first-rounders, I believe. Yeah.
So in closing out of this series talk with OKC and Minnesota, it was from a lot of reactions from the game last night, overreactions in my opinion. But can this game go to 7?
I don't think it will. I think this game will probably be 5-6 tops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to stick with the Timberwolves in 7. I may have picked them to win it in 6 before the series. I think they win game 4, and then they split the next 2 games, 5 and 6, and they play an OKC at game 7. And if OKC lost the game 7, I don't think it's a disaster for them. I think they're a young team.
Yes.
Their window, I think, is opening while other teams' windows might be closing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real good matchup between SGA and Anthony Edwards on Monday night. And I think both are probably going to minimally score 30 points apiece. And you'll see the best team win, and whoever wins that game will win.
I'm going to tell you, James, if Minnesota loses game 4 and then loses the series in 5 games, you know what territory Anthony Edwards goes in? He doesn't go into Michael Jordan territory. He goes into Trae Young territory. You put him in, you lump him with the Trae Young. For real, Trae Young was supposed to be the next big thing, and come on.
I think that's a fair comparison, actually.
Yep. And now to the series that Keith holds near and dear.
I got to run, guys. I got to run early.
The New York Knickerbockers find themselves down in an 0-2 hole against the Indiana Pacers, who took both home games, and it will shift today to Indiana. I watched. I was intently watching the game. Unlike most of the panel here, I'm not a big Knick fan. Sorry, Keith. I hold grudges. So when you beat the Pistons, I'm like, I don't care about that.
I do as well, so it's fair. It's fair.
But the Pacers have been really in keys, taking it to the Knicks. When I was watching the game, I mean, it was basically basket for basket up to about the last 7 minutes of the game when they started pulling ahead. So I mean, it was a very good game. I'm sure not for Knickerbocker fans, but at the same time, it was a very entertaining game. I like to see the up and down flow. How do you feel? I'm going to start with you, Keith. How do you feel about what New York is doing right now and where they can go from this point?
I'm not feeling good right now, but I don't want to be the voice of doom either. They can come back. Teams have been down 2-0. It's not going on the road. It's not the ideal situation, but they just need to. Again, I said this coming into this series. They need to be more consistent in their offense and not have to rely too much on Brunson, which they tend to do at clutch times with good reason because he's very clutch. They had chances at the end of this game, and he probably pulled the trigger a little quick when he had a chance to tie with a 3-pointer and put up a pretty deep shot. But I think he was worried about getting fouled, too, because they had a foul to give as well. So it probably made sense. You take your best shot. We talked a little bit about Towns not playing during a critical stretch in that fourth quarter, but he hadn't played well, and he's been very inconsistent in these playoffs in general, and they've got to get better there. The problem is, doesn't matter what you do, the Knicks are not deep enough. The only guy who comes off the bench, Mitchell Robinson's been good. They're talking about starting him and putting Hart on the bench, which I don't mind Hart coming off the bench, but I'm not really crazy about getting Mitchell Robinson, 32 or 34 minutes in this game either. He's played productively. He's a good defensive player, but he does clog up the offense, I think, too often. The Knicks have been good on the offensive boards throughout the playoffs and even in the series, but they don't seem to take advantage of it. And the Pacers are so deep; they can score every night. There's going to be a different star. It seems Halliburton's the star of this team, but I mean, look, you saw Sakai. What's his name? I'm not good with just not Siakam. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, he steps up huge the other night, and I think they just take it to the Knicks more than the Knicks take it to the Pacers. The Knicks don't seem to get into the kind of offensive flow quick enough. The Pacers do, I think. They take it right to the Knicks, and it may end up in an open 3-pointer because that's a game today. But they're knocking down the 3-pointers. They're playing defense when they need to, and they had some big offensive rebounds actually in that fourth quarter. What night was it? I've lost track of the nights. Friday. look at it. They can do this. They have to win tonight, obviously, or this series is likely done.
What about you, Jack?
We play the blame game a lot of the time when a team loses a series. And if the Knicks lose this series, who's going to get blamed? Is it going to be Thibodeau? I mean, Keith mentions Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, are we going to blame the trade? Are we going to say if they had Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, would they have been better off than Karl Anthony Towns? I liked the deal when it was made, and I still think it was a good deal for the Knicks in the long run. And maybe it'll prove that way in the short term. You never know. But I thought the Knicks played okay. They were very conscious of the Pacers not making three-point shots. So they would play along the perimeter, force them on the inside at times. If there's any criticism outside of Karl Anthony Towns being kept on the bench maybe a little too long, the Pacers were getting too many, easy buckets right under the basket. There were these defensive
100%.
breakdowns. And what exactly was happening? There seemed to be miscommunications. And Keith pointed out relying a little too much on Brunson. I know he's doing great things, but the offense seems to stop. He's going to be dribbling, it seems, forever, to try to create a shot. And that's not really the type of ball movement that the Pacers are having. So,
and when the Knicks are successful, he is the key, but the ball moves, right? And I said it before, when they fall into that Carmelo Anthony black hole syndrome, which they tend to do with Brunson now and again, that's when things slow to crawl on that offense.
It should be only utilized towards the end of a quarter or a half, when you're isolated, when the game's on the line. Yes, because he's very clutch, as you said. But in this instance, the Pacers, let's give some credit to the Pacers. They're just a really good team.
Agreed.
And like B. Trilla said, they're deep. And so, and I'm pulling for the Knicks. I want the Knicks to win. I want them to come back, but I didn't have much to say about this game because I want to let you guys have that because it's your team. And again, I'm pulling for them, but I got one stat to put out there. No home team has ever come back losing the first two games in the conference finals. So that's the one thing they got going against them, but they could be the team to come back and be the first to overcome that.
That's a good stat. And by the way, I will give the Pacers credit. This isn't the Knicks just losing. The Pacers, any more than the Knicks, that was just the Celtics losing, right? The Knicks have something to do with that. And the Pacers have a lot to do with what's happened here at the end of game one and through this game too. Rick Carlisle is a very underrated coach. He's really good. And he's had three really good teams in Detroit, Dallas, and now Indiana. And won a championship in Dallas, right? So very underrated coach. And I'm not taking anything away from this Pacer team. They're really good.
Yeah, Rick Carlisle, I remember him from the Pistons days before they won a championship. I think the reason why they got rid of him, management thought he just couldn't get past that New York Nets hump, and with the Brooklyn Nets now. But so I mean, I give kudos to Carlisle. He's a very good coach.
Yeah.
Brunson had 3 turnovers. He did limit his turnovers Friday as well. And I heard something on another sports show that when he usually has 1 to 2 turnovers, they usually win. But when he has more than that, they usually lose. I don't know if I could say 3 turnovers made him lose.
That one turnover,
that one turnover extra just made him lose. But
well,
I just think is it to the fact that Indiana is just more hungrier than New York at this moment?
I think it's fresher. I do think it's fresher. We talk about the deep bench again. Maybe they don't have they had a bunch of points off the bench, actually, now that I think about it. But the minutes themselves, I mean, the Knicks had 60th minutes, which is high for them off the bench. And the Pacers were in the 70s. But the minutes feel much more productive off the bench for the Pacers. And I think that's the difference. And we talked about it coming into these series. In both of them, fresh legs make a big difference. And as you go further and further into these playoffs, older guys or guys with more wear and tear during the regular season and in the playoffs are going to wear down at the end of games. But
we knew this was a problem with the Knicks, and it can't change now. They get Robinson, McBride come off the bench, but that's about it.
That's it. McBride.
Those
and
are the only
McBride's
productive guys. What are you going to do? Put in PJ Tucker at this point? You know?
No, at this point, you're going to ride. You're going to ride the guy you've been riding, and they're either going to step up and fight through it, or they're not. And that's the difference between winning and losing now. So
I mean, Jack,
it's a gut check right now. It's really about gut check. I mean, what do you want? Do you want to get to the next level and get to the championship or not? I mean, they're in your way. That's it. The Pacers are in your way. Or you're going to do something about it.
That's it. That's
and
it.
To Jack saying playing the blame game, wouldn't you rather play the blame game on the fact that their bench is not the greatest in the world and they have to start, use their start and fight? I mean, during a playoff stretch, that's got to be taxing. And without having a bench, that's
on Thibodeau. That's on Thibodeau. How he utilizes
Rose too, because Rose traded the bench away. Rose, you can't let Leon Rose off the hook here either, because I did like the trades at the time too, but they did nothing to improve this bench after the trade.
Yeah,
nobody ever replaced DiVincenzo. That's a big piece of this team missing right now. Is that kind of guy coming off the bench?
Yeah, but Thibodeau has a history of gluing guys to the bench who could contribute in the past. When they had Fournier was on their team,
he couldn't play.
To the bench. I mean, he could have utilized them.
48.
He wound up going to the Pistons, and he, played there. But
most guys have played their way into Thibodeau's bench jail, if you will, right? I think he used the bench far more last year than I think he'd ever used a bench. But those guys aren't there, or the ones that are there aren't contributing. So you like you said, you're going to start playing. I think I played before since PJ Tucker last played. They're not going to put these guys in a game now. 3 guys off. What they use? 3 guys off the bench the other night.
I'm going to tell you, when they blew the Celtics out in Game 6, when the Knicks clinched, they emptied their bench, and to me, it looked like the junior varsity. Just watching the guys, I'm saying, who the heck? I knew who they were, but who the heck are these guys? I mean, they're like, it was like they were let out to play,
That's why I'm not laying this all on Tibbs. He's got to play his starters. Who else is he going to play?
Right. You got it.
And that's what's going to come back to bite him to some degree, I think.
Likely will.
They're just wore out, right?
Yeah. Over a course of the, all these playoff games that you go through, it's just a gauntlet. And I just don't know if the Knicks can handle it, especially if Indiana keeps playing the way they are. It's just going to exhaust them. And you can see it sometimes in the shots that they're taking too late in the games. It's just like that one air ball. Well, not air ball, but the one shot that Brunson took. It was like, I know it was a force of desperation, of course, because he thought he was going to be fouled. But
yeah,
Brunson usually takes better shots than that anyway. And it's just like it's exasperation at this point. They do definitely have to win today. If they don't win today, man, good night. That's
he thought he might get fouled, but even if he got fouled, they would have had a chance to set up another play for a 3-point shot for him or whoever, probably him. But that was a pretty deep, quick shot. I mean, there was still 6 seconds, I think, on the clock when he shot it, so there was time.
Yeah. Well, Keith is going to be leaving us in a couple of moments.
Yeah, you guys pissed me off. I'm out of here.
The stream of consciousness show. And then after he departs us, unfortunately, and we'll have to do a commercial break. But just one little quick thing. Tush Push, Keith, views on it?
But stop it. Stop putting in rules because you can't stop something or you can't do something. Stop putting in rules to fix it when you can fix your approach to it. Whether it's baseball, I don't care what sport we're talking about. Stop putting in rules when teams can't effectively stop something or even be productive doing it, right? Either learn to do it yourself or learn to stop this. Surprisingly, the Bills voted no on this. I was shocked when they were. I think James pointed out the other day they're more successful than the Eagles by the numbers. So
right,
that's interesting. Yeah,
they don't do it as much.
Just stop putting in rules for everything. Stop.
Yeah, I think the Jets also were one of the ones that were for it. Actually, was that? What do you think about that, Jack?
No, I don't like the tush push, and I'm going to tell you why. For safety reasons, strictly for safety reasons. And you're not supposed to be able to aid another player. What are we going to do? Let one player carry another over the goal line and flip them over? I mean, come on. Listen, you get crunched in the middle of the tush push. Guys could seriously get injured. Are we
It's
going to wait
football.
for
You
someone to get
get
injured
injured,
before
period.
we ban it?
Get injured
No,
walking on the
but
field.
it's different. You have rules in place, and you won't allow kickoffs. You have certain rules on kickoffs, okay? Because you don't want them to get the running start because of the contact, and you're doing it for safety reasons. But the tush push is going to be there for a while because it's a charismatic play. We laugh about it. The idea that we're talking about it
Yeah,
now.
James, I'm going to let you carry the water here because I don't want to play flag football or take Mac's idea of taking helmets off, guys. So you guys can handle the rest of this. I'm going to.
All right, Keith.
Okay, Keith.
Bye-bye.
You have yourself a good rest of your day, man.
You too, guys.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
You know, you get used to things. Remember when we talked about the new rules put in to protect the quarterback? We kept hearing these edge rushers complaining they can't play this and that. They adjusted, and it's not a non-issue anymore. And it's a heck of a good rule, you know, to have to protect the quarterback who's basically defenseless. I'm just concerned in the middle of the tush push, the way guys could get crunched in the middle of that. It's a tough play. I mean, what do the players think? Why is the league voting on it? Why not let the players vote on it?
It says you're the safety manager.
Yeah, England was listening with that. Yeah. Mac,
He's got the orange vest
on. If it was up to Mac, they would have played without helmets. He didn't like when they incorporated helmets on the players. He thought it made the game too soft.
The tush push is just an advantage for a team, and one team seems to be more successful than other teams. They just found a way. They have one of the best offensive lines, have a very quality, strong quarterback, and then the offensively they just do it. I mean, it's not just them. Buffalo, Josh Allen was successful at it, and you have a few other teams that actually did it. It's just a matter of whether or not you can stop it. I mean, you can get hurt doing anything, and people do get hurt. There's no evidence that has shown that it's significant enough of the tush push to be taken away. I mean, people get turf toe. I mean, doing some other things. I mean, it's just I don't see it as a problem. I mean, it's just a matter of whether or not you can stop it or not.
Well, the tush push, it's basically a glorified quarterback sneak. What do you think of this as a new rule? It just popped into my head now. Like they limit certain things you can do, like in baseball now, they run on first base. So if the pitcher's holding him on, he's only allowed a couple of throws, you know, and on the third throw or so, the runner's given the base. That a quarterback is only allowed a certain amount of quarterback sneaks per game. You limit him to 2 or 3 quarterback sneaks per game. And then after that, he's got to hand the ball off. That would take care of the tush push rule. Maybe 2 quarterback sneaks a game. In this way, coaches might want to keep that in their pocket, you know, the quarterback sneaks, and not use them up. Just an idea.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I get that. But I would say that let's say you do that. Does that not open the door to limiting the quarterback running when the RPOs? You know, because I mean, it's virtually the same play.
Quarterback sneak, James. I'm talking about quarterback sneaks, not quarterback run.
I got you. I'm just saying, what if that might be able to open the door to limiting the quarterback taking off, because it is an advantage when a quarterback can take off and run.
It won't limit them. One's got nothing to do with the other. One is a designed quarterback sneak on the tush push. And the others, if a quarterback wants to run, let him run all he wants. I'm not limiting that at all. I'm just limiting the quarterback sneaks. It's obvious whether it's a quarterback sneak or not.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying what they have in common is an advantage. The quarterback is the guy taking off. And I mean, like in RPO, you really have an advantage because defensive players don't know who's going to get the ball. I mean, if you got a fast running back, like let's say, for instance, you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That was devastating last year because most people, it's going to maybe 1 or 2 seconds, you're going to think either Derrick Henry, who's a great offensive player, running back, going to get the ball, or Lamar Jackson's going to take off out of the outside. So it's an advantage. If we want to put it that way, it is an advantage. So I would think the quarterback sneak, you know what's coming. I mean, more so who's got the ball, who's going to get the ball and just push forward. So it's more of an advantage the opposite way. So why should we restrict something that you already know, but you're just not stopping in the quarterback sneak?
Yeah, and good morning to Brett and of course Linda. Blessed to have you on. Richard, good morning. Sonia chipped in there a little earlier, so she's up. But yeah, Jack, let me tell you something. Roger Goodell, if it was such a safety issue type of thing, I think that the pattern that Roger Goodell has had over his reign over the NFL, I think he's a devil. But anyway, the point of the matter is Roger Goodell is a safety guy. So he's done a lot of taking away from the defense. The kickoff rules have changed all in the lieu of safety. If he really thought this was a problem, he would probably be leading the charge for the tush push, and it has not happened. If there's no numbers to back up the inconsistencies or injuries for that particular play, he is not going to treat it seriously. Okay, he's going to let the owners make those decisions. On that note as well, I think that it was funny that the 13 of the 14 teams that Philadelphia has to play this year voted against it. The only one team, the Lions, because you know what? Dan Campbell said what James said on this panel. You got to stop it. So this is football. You got to stop things. If we did that in every sport, I mean, we practically try to do that in every sport. If you can't stop something, well, all of a sudden we got to change all the rules around because, oh my God, I can't stop it. I don't have any creative thoughts to stop it. No, this is football, man. It kind of goes into my segue of the flag football that Olympics are getting ready to induce into their program. I think it's one player off every team. I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work. But what's your views in that, Jack, of flag football in Olympics?
I don't know how it's going to be played. How many people are even going to watch it? You're going to want to see the razzle dazzle. No one is going to watch the Olympics to see the offensive line, even care about, defense. So there'll be no sacking of the quarterback. It'll be a lot of long throws down the field, a lot of athleticism. We'll see how they'll do it, how entertaining it is. The players are going to want to play in the Olympics, the high-profile players, because there's not going to be a lot of contact. It's going to be a glorified vacation, and a lot of them have grown up watching the Olympics, so they are going to want to, be participants. It will be a big deal to a lot of them. But, I thought, too, Jason Kelsey, let him come out of retirement and play in the Olympics. It would be ideal for him.
Maybe. I mean, professional, they did start, well, they had like some kind of professional football, if I'm not correct. I think it was like an inaugural where the last Olympics where they had teams, international teams playing each other. I think the bad thing about that, Japan played the U.S. team and beat them pretty bad, like a 41-3 or something like that. Again, here we go, changing rules and implementing stuff so that the USA can look really good. And if they put all their professional players in there you go.
Look, why not add pickleball to the Olympics too as well?
Yeah, I mean, man, you're boring me, this thriller with this stuff. You're boring me.
It's news. It's sports news, Jack.
It's 3 years away. It's more than 3 years away. I mean, it is none of the news. I got
My point in bringing up pickleball is that come on, man, flag football.
No, I'm talking about pickleball.
No, I'm just saying. My point in bringing it up is like why flag football even talk about being in the Olympics? It's just horrible, man. Just stick to where you're at.
I mean, listen,
I keep saying this.
skateboarding or whatever, where they're flipping upside down. The Olympics are trying to be entertaining, to try to get young people, to try to get audiences. That's the main
I
thing.
actually
That's
like
why the
skateboarding.
NBA
I
players.
think skateboarding is a great sport. It's just, but we're not. It's not being altered. Is what I'm saying. Football is being altered to get into the Olympics.
Well, they're not going to play. They're not going to play regular, tackle the way they're playing now. They're not going to have a training camp and all that.
I agree. It's too risky. But I mean, I wouldn't want to add it to the mix. Is what I'm saying, because it's watered down football. It's been watered down. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's during the summertime, so you got to think about that. Training camps are happening. There's a lot of things that are going on at that time with football, the NFL in general. Then you have like Brett said in the post here, what about people getting injured during that time? And then they have to come into the regular season not playing because they're injured because they played Olympic football flag.
Anyone can get injured. I'm tired of this. I get put down for safety things all the time, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me. I kind of chuckle and go along with everyone. But it does. This is what bothers me. On the other end, all of you saying, "Oh no, we can't have this because someone could get injured." Now we see about a freak injury. Well, don't even work out in the off season. Look, Mariano Rivera, the great Yankee closer, he never got injured pitching. You know how he got injured and had to miss a good part of the year? He was on the outfield shagging fly balls before a game, and he got injured that way. So what are we going to tell him? Don't do that. Now we hear this too with Texas. Arch Manning saw the coach. He wants to play basketball with his friends. The coach is allowing him whatever. But at what point, are we going to protect these guys? Tell them never work out, just show up for the games?
I mean, I got your point. I mean, injuries are all part of the game, but the necessity of the injuries is what I'm talking about. I know injuries happen all the time, but if you're a team like the Jets, for instance, and say that your quarterback wants to go out there for the Olympics and play, and some freak accident happens where he gets injured, then I mean, you got to go to your second quarterback or whatever during the regular season in the NFL where he's actually getting paid money to play. You don't want to see Justin Fields in that situation. I mean, admit it, you don't. So
Aaron Rodgers got hurt the first game with the Jets playing. It happens to all these quarterbacks. You can't avoid it.
But that's in the game. But that's in an actual game. Yeah.
You don't want to take a risk.
Right, flag football.
I mean, and especially football, because football is happening. Let's say the Olympics is happening when they're in the grind of training practice and preseason. There's no way I would have any of my players going into the Olympics for any of that. No way.
Well, flag football is serious risk. Anyone could get a pulled hamstring. I know. How is it a risk?
Lateral movement, ACL, a lot.
You get that in practice every game.
I would prefer it happen in practice and not do something that. Yes, I would prefer if it had to happen. I would rather it happen something going towards the season, not something that's just. I mean, I get representing your country.
Okay, so let me get this right. So in all the sports, we shouldn't allow the athletes, like in baseball, to be in the World Baseball Classic. Okay, Edwin Diaz, the Met closer, he got injured and missed a good part of the season during the World Baseball Classic. So we should. In hockey, we shouldn't allow, any international play and NBA. So what about the NBA in the Olympics? Okay. Who was it? Paul George got injured playing for Team USA and had to miss a season in the NBA. So you're saying we shouldn't allow the NBA players, they should be withheld from participating in the Olympics. Mac was telling me that about the last Olympics. Oh no. The Phoenix Sun owner shouldn't allow Kevin Durant to play in the Olympics. He played in the Olympics and he was a major contributor, and the USA won the gold medal. And you're saying we shouldn't allow these guys to play in the Olympics for the NBA players. Let's talk about them now. They're going to be playing during the month of August, and they could suffer a bad injury that will make them miss a good part of the season.
I mean, you got all valid points in that situation. I just don't think as an organization that I would want to take a chance with my players like that. I mean, yeah, it's always up to the discretion of the players themselves to go out there and do that kind of stuff. Because I'm pretty sure that in for the Lions, if they play flag football, Amon St. Brown be one of those guys that wants to go out there and play that because it's Olympics, USA, blah blah blah. Go ahead, James.
Jack, your points are well taken. I do agree that yes, I mean those sports. They've always played. You've always seen these guys represent the USA, and represent their country. That's fine, but we're talking football, one of the most grittiest, grimiest sports. It's easy to get an injury, and it's hard to get. I mean, it's just a tough sport to play, and to add extra to it, it's just something I think that might be unnecessary.
Flag football or playing basketball in the Olympics. Don't tell me flag football, you're under more of a risk of getting injured than you are if you're playing basketball. This is flag football. We're not talking about NFL.
I get that. You're right. It's basketball is a little bit more.
Trilla mentioned something I think about representing the country. Shouldn't that come into play? This is the Olympics. It's big stuff. How can we talk about patriotism and start yelling USA, USA, and we're telling players to stay home?
I mean, like I said, you have valid points, Jack. It's I mean, it happens in all sports, I guess. Baseball, in the Olympics, basketball in the Olympics.
I have a point of emphasis here. If we're going into the Olympics and we're playing flag football, are other countries just going to start playing flag football? I mean, football is an American sport, and it's never really anywhere represented at all. So why are we even bringing this point of emphasis to bring it into the Olympics now?
Right. Can you imagine, guys, we're seeing flag football in the Olympics, and Spencer Rattler's the quarterback, and the explanation is the other teams wouldn't let their quarterbacks play because they might get injured. So we have Spencer Rattler as a QB. I had to get James with that dig.
Yes, I'll take it. I mean, since you're bringing that dig up, Spencer Rattler's doing really good in OTAs right now. So there's a possibility that he may get an opportunity to start, but we'll see. I like Tyler Shuck. But yeah, I mean, no other country plays, besides Canada, plays professional football the way we see it, not soccer. So, I mean, why is this even an issue? I see what the NFL is trying to do. They're trying to make this, an international sport, and they want other countries to participate. That's why we're going into other countries, playing games in other countries to get viewership, to see if maybe we can start having what do you call it? Because didn't they say something about having franchise teams in some other countries?
Yeah, they were playing with that thought. Goodell with his money making schemes. Yeah,
he got me thinking. I'm going to be a little creative today. You mentioned Canada, the USFL. You get a team in Europe. You get those three, and you get the worst team in the NFL, and have like a tournament. The team with the worst record has to participate in that. That might be a little fun. The worst NFL team probably wins, but maybe you get a team that's so bad you never know.
Right.
Well, if you're talking about the UFL versus the CFL.
Well, the USFL. I mean, the worst NFL team should win decisively. Don't get me wrong, but it would be a little fun. The champions of the USFL against the champions of the Canadian League. Would it be a game? I mean, I don't know, but I would watch actually.
Actually, that might be more what I've been seeing in the UFL. Considering I watch some CFL too, I think the CFL would have a step up in that advantage right there because they got some pretty good players in the CFL. They're mid between the UFL and the NFL, in my opinion. I think they probably could. Their best team could probably beat one of our worst teams. I'll put it to that in the NFL. The NFL worst team.
No, I don't think so. No.
I'm talking about the best teams. I'm not
The
talking
best
about the worst
team in
team.
Canada beating the worst team in the NFL? No, I mean on one given game anything could happen, but I doubt it. I really
The only
do.
thing I have to push back on you, Strilla, in regards to Canada, is that their field is a lot bigger than the standard field that they use for the for NFL.
Right.
So there's a lot of room to run. But I mean, maybe that would be an advantage to the NFL, the worst team, if some of the best players had more space to run as well.
You know, what do you think?
I mean, you could have it like two different platforms too. You can have it kind of like the American League versus the National League pitching. You know, the rules for pitching. It could be the same for the CFL and the NFL. If the NFL's worst team gets to play on their home field, or the CFL gets to play on their home field, depending on whatever, you know, like an on and off kind of thing. One year they do this, one year they do that. I don't know. I mean, it's a creative thought, Jack. I like that. I mean, I know you said the UFL.
So creative. I'm getting so creative today with these new thoughts that I never thought about before, and no one else has ever mentioned. What do you think it is for every position player, you know, in an NFL team? Now, when I say position play, I'm talking about skill positions: running back, wide receiver, tight end. Once a game, they're allowed to take off 5 seconds early. You know, the other players have to, you know, be there until the ball is snapped. But one position player could shake the defense up and just take off. And can you imagine the defense trying to adjust on the fly and the bedlam that would be going on? That might be a little bit fun. As long as the defense is not offside, they can't obviously pass the line of scrimmage. They have to make a quick adjustment. It might be fun if you allow every position player to do it one time a game.
Oh, can you imagine Tyreek Hill doing that?
Right.
Oh, I would say, but he can only do it once a game. Take off early. And could you imagine the defense all of a sudden has to adjust on the fly? I mean, that would be fun. And the threat of him possibly doing it all game long and them holding him in reserve, you know, they'd have to strategize on that.
Oh, man, that would change. That would change the game.
Considering what the defense has to deal with now, I mean, they don't have very much leeway in the first place. And you're talking about having an offensive player taking a head start.
Oh, you'd have guys.
You want sympathy because the Lions lost Aaron Glenn as their defensive coordinator.
Oh, he'd have an advantage with Jamison Williams. I mean, that guy, man, taking off. Yeah, he'd have a huge advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fast players will have that advantage. But that sounds like something you could regulate, like if you're instead of the offsides, the onside kick. You have to find different ways to get rid of the onside kick, because that's
right. But really, you nailed it. That's the rule that should get changed. The onside kick is such a low percentage play. Why are we bothering with something that has maybe a 7% chance of succeeding? You got to be creative. Let the team, instead of an onside kick, have the ball on the 15-yard line or the 10-yard line, and they have to score on that play. One play, okay? I mean, the onside kick is a waste of time now.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you have to announce it.
In 2009, it wasn't for the Saints against the Indianapolis Colts. It caught them by surprise.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It works every once in a while. Even the year the Jets, the one time they won the Super Bowl III, people forget the Jets were up 16-0. They seemed to have the game locked up. The Colts got a late touchdown with like 4 minutes or so left to make it 16-7. And then the Colts went for the onside kick and it succeeded. And all of a sudden it opened the door that maybe the Colts get another touchdown to stop and a field goal. But how often is it going to work? I mean, Sean Payton did that as an element of surprise. That's a little bit different. But when a team is bracing for an onside kick, it has no more than a 1 in 10 chance at most of succeeding.
Well, you got to look at it like this too. I'm sure the NFL competition committee it looks at that kind of stuff too. I mean, when is the right time you're going to start doing? If you get rid of the onside kick, when is the right time to allow a team to start from the 10-yard line or the 25-yard line, whatever they want to have the starting position of the opposite team that's down? When is that a right time to do that? There's all kinds of variables that have to be put in action for changes to be created. So, I mean, I think right now I wouldn't be surprised if they're thinking in the lines of what you're thinking about, Jack. But at the same time, they really got to, you got to focus on when it can be done. When is the penance of having, if it's a 14-point lead or a 21-point lead, it definitely can't be a 7-point lead, because that's not considered, that's not coming back from behind, really. I mean, what is the rules pertain for the fourth quarter that they have to change that rule?
I don't know, but I'll say this, but Trill, I'm a little curious. The way you were talking about Roger Goodell, and you put in a little bit of a dig. Why do people not like Roger Goodell? Why is he so unpopular?
I mean, I'm sure he's not unpopular to the people who are making money from his benefits. I mean, he is doing doing his job, per se, the job. What I just don't like about Roger Goodell, he's taken away from the game that he's taken away rules that, they're going to get, it's football. People are going to get injured in football, period. Safety monitor or not, Jack. Football is a car collision crash game. That's what it is. And people are going to get hurt no matter what. Now, I do understand uniforms, helmets being more protective, your padding being more protective, certain things that'll, prevent you from, well, not prevent you, but limit your risk of injury. However, the human body only torques so many ways. And that's why ACLs happen a lot now, because it's just your body's torquing a different way. You catch a piece of grass or a piece of carpet or field turf a wrong way, even if it's not non-contact, and you can, be out the rest of the season. Freak injuries happen.
He's protecting the brand.
That's what he's doing.
The bottom line is the NFL's bottom line, and people don't like that. People don't like change, Jack. Most of us don't like change.
But there's the committees, guys. There's rules committees, competition committees. He doesn't make the ultimate decisions, Roger Goodell. It's the owners that make that decision.
But he's the face. Most people don't look at the owners. When someone comes up to the podium for the draft, the first person you're seeing coming out the face is Roger Goodell, and they boo him. I just think it's become a trend to boo. Most people don't even know what they're booing for. They just boo because he's the face. He's the guy that's always been booed.
It's fashionable. It becomes part of the event. Like when Juan Soto returned to Yankee Stadium, the whole thing was the booing, the reception he was going to get. So it was like a big party. Come out and boo, make noise.
I do think that affects him, because he always had some comment about that after every draft too. When he goes out there and draft, it's like, oh, they didn't boo for me this much this year, or I expect a lot of boos from them, or whatever the case may be. So I know he's used to it by now, and he expects it, but. And it's all good fun. I mean, like I said, I understand where Roger Goodell is coming from the business aspect of the league, but at the same time, you're taking away from. He's kind of opposite of his predecessor. I mean, of the person that he preceded, Tagliabue. Yeah, Tagliabue, because Tagliabue was more about the game than he was about the brand. And this is what's flipped on the side of Goodell. Goodell recognizes the brand and not really about. And he's like a player safety person. He's perfect. He's a perfect Jack guy. This is why I'm saying that the whole thing about the tush push. If he thought it was going to be a safety issue, he would have banned that a long time ago, because that's what he's about. And not that he cares about the players that much, sending them to Brazil, to a place where gang things happen. But anyway, that's besides the point. What I'm saying is he protects the brand. And if he's gonna do anything at all costs to protect that brand and make that money, and he does have say over. He's like a president over Congress, basically. I mean, Congress has a word, but then the president, supersedes that. Anyway, we have reached our time limits for this show. Jack, thank you for having us. James, you as well, and Keith. Y'all have a very good day. Happy Memorial Day. Good day.